Greetings. I am Dr. Lucretia Dangerfield, and I am your leadership coach and consultant. And today we are on day 5 of the Sacred Leadership 31 Day Rest Leadership Challenge. And today's topic is restorative boundaries. I guess the first question we may say is, what are boundaries? What are boundaries in leadership? And boundaries in leadership, and especially in sacred leadership, is how things should be done, what's okay to do, and what's not okay to do. So really, it's about expectations. I look at it as we set boundaries, we set expectations. So we could have some very rigid expectations as leaders, or we could have very loose expectations as leaders, or we could be somewhere in the middle. And I've been in situations where I've had both. Like I've had some expectations and some boundaries established in leadership that were to keep people out. That's basically what it was to keep people out so that it was no reciprocity in the relationship, in the leadership relationship. And that was when I started out first as a leader, because I wanted to make sure I did everything that I perceived to be as right. And so I wanted to almost like be the perfect leader. So I had these rigid boundaries about what it meant to be a leader and how I was going to show up and what I expected from others. So very rigid. And then as I grew in my leadership, I also came to some places where I was very loose in my boundaries. I had some people pleasing tendencies, and I wouldn't delegate. I would not delegate to the people that were on my team because one, either I didn't want them to be upset with me, or I didn't want I didn't know how to tell them what to do. So one of the biggest lessons I learned that delegation is part of leadership, and delegation and expectation is part of setting boundaries. So you have to set the expectation, adhere to the expectation, and follow through. And so when we think about restorative boundaries, we want to think about what boundaries do we want to establish to help us be a stronger leader. So I want you to think on that. I want you to reflect on the question, where do I need stronger boundaries as a leader? Reflect on that, journal. Just really think about that question. And then the action that I want you to take is set one boundary that restores balance in your leadership. How can you do that? Like for me, the example I gave is about not delegating, and not delegating got me into some trouble. So if delegation is one of your, is establishing that expectation with the people that you're making requests of, and then holding them to completing and accomplishing what you set, the goal that was set out to do, or the task that was set out to do. And the meditation scripture for today is, let your yes be yes and your no, no. And that comes from Matthew 5:37. So today, as we reflect on what are some boundaries that we need to establish in our leadership, think about that and think about it, put it in the comments, share, because if we connect with one another and help each other out, then we are building and growing better and more sacred and healed leaders. Have a good day.